Micah Parsons, the first 3-sack game of his career, had a third down sack that was big, had another one on third down, and I think David Hellman was tweeting a preview. Let's see how Carolina deals with all these stunts. I imagine, Bobby, this would have been in your film room preview on Friday, that Carolina does not do well against the team in the NFL who runs the most stunts and the most confusion up front like that. And Micah Parsons coming up the middle, and the Cowboys made Bryce Young pay.
They're just really bad on the interior. Like their guards and centers have been their biggest problem this year. And so, I mean, Dan Quinn clearly knew that, but it didn't even feel like he totally needed to do a whole bunch of stunts and twists. He basically just said, like, we're putting Micah over center, and you're going to have to block it up. And they weren't going to be able to, even though he was, apparently just ill on the sideline or whatever else. He was out there and was able to wreck shop. And it's funny, you win a game by 23 points. And I was talking to Brian about this after the game. I was like, who was like excellent on Sunday? Who just was like fantastic for the Cowboys in a 23-point road victory? And I was like, Micah, and I don't know, like really Micah, I guess. And so Micah to me was the big star of the game. He's the one who absolutely played, at a high level. But otherwise, I think there were some good performances. I think you were a better football team than Carolina, and that's just what it was. You guys both played your game, and you whooped up on them.
And Micah reacting to, creating some narrative that he was dismissed last week as one of the top players in the National Football League, went to social media, y'all doubting me. He's like LeBron. And I was like, I don't remember us doubting his ability whatsoever. We were doubting while he was pouting and walked out of the locker room after they beat the Giants by 30. Maybe he was talking directly to Brian Broaddus.
Maybe
he was talking to Broaddus on the GBag Nation, who apparently caught some blowback along with Zach Wolchuk last week, asking why Micah wasn't winning one-on-one matchups against backup tackles that played for New York.
Yeah, I told Brian yesterday we're going to call this the Broaddus game from now on. But this is the game that motivated him. It woke him up. 2.5 sacks or 3 sacks or whatever he got credited with. He was great yesterday, and he
was great afterwards as well. As John Machota got this tweet, Micah. Two questions over people being sick yesterday. Bobby will have to answer for CeeDee Lamb's, but people were saying Micah was throwing up. Machota got the story afterwards. He was not sick. He took some C4 energy powder before the game. Quote from Micah, I got some water to help put it down. By the 5th play, it felt like my heart was going to jump out of my chest. I felt like I was about to explode. I'm never doing that again, so... Micah Parsons not getting an endorsement with fan partner C4 Energy.
I've never had heart issues with C4 Energy. I don't dry scoop it. Maybe Micah was dry scooping. I don't recommend that. I don't think C4 recommends that. Well, just grab the drink, mix it up, man.
Yeah,
you don't need to be an Instagram chick and dry scoop it.
Okay, what is that? Like he's taking the powder and putting that in his mouth,
so and then swigging water behind it.
Water. People will do that because it's supposedly
hit your system faster.
I think it's a bunch of crap. I don't think it does that. I don't know, but people just like to do that on Instagram videos to look cool.
What did Burkhardt say yesterday? He's like, man, it looks like he drank rocket fuel. Yeah. Look at him. He's so sorry. You're gonna have to take some more C4 next week. I think this is a great endorsement for C4. Picks up 3 sacks in a game. Are you kidding me? Career high performance. Yeah, and you know what? This is this another instance of a sideline reporter just making something up? I guess.
I mean, there you go.
He's over there vomiting on the sideline. Michaud has to come back and go, no, Aaron Andrews pulled a Carissa Thompson. So
star up to Micah Parsons and the rest of that D-line getting all that pressure, wreaking havoc on the Panthers.
Yeah, because, also, remember this. First drive out, the Cowboys had that was a pretty dud opening drive.
Yep.
Micah gets them off the field. And the Cowboys get the ball, but they score. Micah gets them off the field. That's big. That first drive was ugly. But star up to the first drive out of the half for the defense. They get Carolina to go to quick 3 and out. And lets the offense take over. And the great teams take the will of bad teams. Even if it's not your best game. The great teams will take your will. So star up to the Cowboys taking the will of the Panthers.
This is the way that I viewed the Panthers coming to this game. And I don't know if you guys felt this way yesterday. You know how, when you play a bad team, you play the Giants, and you go, okay, this is bad about the Giants. This is something the Giants do awful. When you played the Cardinals, even though the Cardinals beat you, heading into that game, this secondary the Cardinals have is awful. I think when you watch Carolina, you don't really feel like anything about their team is awful. Like, it's not just blinking light, like, oh my gosh, you can just take advantage of this all day. It's just they're not very good across the board. And so when the sum of its parts are put together, it's like, oh, this is a bad football team. And so I think you saw that yesterday, that the Cowboys didn't have anything that they could take super advantage of consistently. It wasn't like they were just destroying them in one area of the game. I mean, they brought a lot of pressure, but it didn't feel like they were wrecking shop in any one area. It's just like, no, this is a team that's not very good. You're pretty good. And so when you guys play each other's games, you're gonna dominate. But I think a big star up here is also to Tony Pollard and the way that he played yesterday.
At the 21, there's a little toss play to Pollard right up the middle of the 10. Puts his head down through a guy at the 5. Bangs to the goal line. Down, one man says down at the 1, the other one says touchdown, and there's a flag back at the 7.
Penalties decline. Result of the play is a touchdown.
A touchdown for Tony Pollard.
He was good. He ran tough. He looked more explosive. I don't know what was different about him yesterday, but he looked like he was more of himself. And I don't know if it's just this is the way that he's got to play. He's got to be a 12 to 15 carry kind of guy. He can't be somebody who's carrying a heavy workload like they tried to do earlier in the season, something they believed that he could do. But he was, I thought, really good yesterday, ran with good vision, decisiveness, so he gets a star up for me.
He broke 5 tackles on that touchdown. This was huge because this is when Carolina scored. This is when you felt like the Cowboys could screw this up. Sam Williams running into the punter, sustained drive, 18 plays for Carolina on this drive. That took 9 minutes. And you're like, okay, what's going to happen here? And then Tony Pollard, man, did it felt like he needed that. That was like Nate Lowe's home run in the playoffs, where it's like, yes, give me the football back. Let me keep this thing. The Cowboys had a couple of major third down conversions on that drive, but Tony Pollard, maybe his best run of the entire season, as we were all looking to replace him.
Yeah.
Because Rico was not it yesterday for the replacement.
No, but, I mean, did Tony have a good game?
Yeah.
He was at 3.9 a carry at the half.
Mm-hmm.
He had 3 carries in the second half. 3 yards, 2 yards, 21 yards.
Okay, but
I don't know. Is it just me, or did he have one good run?
I mean, did you not notice him a couple different times yesterday say, oh, he's running with more purpose and more power than we've seen in recent weeks?
Sure.
I think he definitely did. He started out the game, the first 5 carries? I think he was 5 yards a carry. He was running really well. He hit a stretch where, things slowed down from a little bit. But this is the name of the game with a running back. Like, a running back is going to generally break one that's going to kind of, tilt things a certain direction in terms of with his yards per carry. But I think definitely when you're just giving it the eye test yesterday, he was running better than we've seen in recent weeks.
I'm contemplating, this is Star Up, Star Down, brought to you by the Big Green Egg here on Shan, RJ, and Bobby. I'm contemplating giving a free pass from here on out. I've given 2 star downs initially, and I think they've been wrong. I think I'm ready to give CeeDee Lamb the free pass to bitch, moan, and complain whenever he wants.
Prescott facing a blitz. Goes into the end zone, left side, Lamb, touchdown, in the corner. Don't blitz Dak Prescott. He's just too good against it. And CeeDee Lamb is on the board.
That was CeeDee's touchdown after the inexcusable penalties that Carolina committed on 3rd down, 3rd and 16, being the absolute killer. So look, freely admit, I did not see CeeDee's body language in this instance that Twitter reacted to. I had 2 Tolos hit me up. Jesse Holly tweeted about it as well. I did not see it. I went back. I looked for it real quick, but the Cowboys were blitzing Carolina with 13 points in 10 seconds. Who saw it, and what did he actually do?
Was it right here? Because I didn't know. The only thing I noticed yesterday was that CeeDee Lamb looked hurt to me. Like, that's what I noticed, is that CeeDee, so on that play where Kevontae Turpin got hit late, CeeDee Lamb was really slow to get up. And then when he got up, he kind of paced around in a circle for a second and looked like he was fighting through something. Then when he scores the touchdown, he's usually up there dancing, doing everything. Yeah. He scored the touchdown. He just kind of dropped the ball, like kicked it a little bit, and then just slowly walked over and seemed to like slowly high five. I didn't think that was pouty body language. I thought that was he was banged up and he was hurting a little bit yesterday. That's what I saw. And so I don't know. We'll have to see. I know he's playing right now with some sort of, you can see it, so I'm not like breaking any news here. He's playing with some sort of wrap or some sort of tape on that left knee. And the left one is the one that he seemed to be favoring a little bit yesterday.
Because I was about to say, complain all you want, because as soon as he allegedly did that, he started getting the football a lot more. They gave it to him with a handoff carry. He started getting the ball more, and I was like, all right, he did it after San Fran. He set NFL records. He did it in this game. I did not see it. Did you see it?
I didn't see it. But look, body language, you're going to, ooh.
Do you need a burrito? You okay?
No, I don't need it.
Okay.
You're gonna get me with this today. I swear to God.
C4.
You're gonna get me with this. Yeah, it's hard to judge body language sometimes. You can say when they're openly fighting on the sidelines, but when someone's got their helmet on, it's tough to tell.
There's a very big difference between what you saw in San Francisco, which was bad body language for sure. And maybe rightfully so, in that, like, he was like, hey, I can contribute to this team, I can help us win games, and I'm not getting it. There's a difference between that and what I think you saw yesterday, which was just, I think he was probably hurting a little bit.
CeeDee Lamb becomes the second fastest Cowboy to reach the 1,000-yard mark in a season. He does it in 10 games. Michael Irvin was the fastest. He did it in 9 back in 1995. And entering the game, only Tyreek Hill and A.J. Brown had at least 1,000 receiving yards this season. CeeDee Lamb joins that list with Star Up. 877-881-1053, truckwick.com text line to let us know yours, 877-881-1053.
Star Up to the O-line having Dak's back right after the late hit on the helmet. And bigger Star Up to them not fighting. It's an easy penalty. That's an easy fight to have. They got in their face, they got his back, but they didn't throw punches, they didn't do anything like that. To me, I was like, hell yeah. That's one of those games. The game was already not decided, but you knew it was going to win this game. I mean, they easily could have lost their way.
Carolina had even more penalties that led to Cowboy points. It was 2 penalties against Cowboy receivers. CeeDee down the sideline, and then a 3rd and 19 horse collar on Brandon Cooks.
So bad.
A 3rd and 19. The Cowboys have had at least 4 3rd and long penalties go their way this year. Remember the Charger game? There's been some instances they have lucked out. They've been given an absolute gift by their opponents. There were 2 flags on that drive for 40 yards. It ends up leading to a field goal that made it 10-zip. We need to expand the DaRon Bland discussion. I think we need to have some more serious talks about him as Defensive Player of the Year after another pick-6 return. Bobby Belt, as I know you guys were talking about DaRon in the postgame, brought us asked you a great question. What can he get better at? And we need to start talking about DaRon Bland like we do see some of these other corners in the game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's doing through his first 2 years essentially what cumulatively Trayvon Diggs did through his first 2 years. It's just obviously, Diggs had the big explosion in year 2, whereas Bland has kind of split it evenly. But I mean, he absolutely needs to be in Defensive Player of the Year discussion because he's doing something that's incredibly rare. And if he does it one more time over these final several weeks, then he's going to do something that nobody's done in NFL history. He is it doesn't feel like has that Diggs. Maybe we do need to compare it to the Diggs year. It doesn't feel like it's that all or miss that Diggs had a couple seasons ago because the passer rating throwing at Bland is the lowest in the league for quarterbacks.
It's low, and also he's doing it over a 2-year stretch. And I think that's big. When you could balance it out 5 a year, 5 a year, 5 a year, 5 a year, that's way better than 11, 0, 8. You know what I mean? I think it's a little bit more consistent. He's at 100. You can get him at 100-1 at MGM.
Now, DaRon Bland. Somebody asked this earlier. Is it all interceptions?
No.
Or is there more to it? I want to run you through a few things about DaRon Bland and why I seriously think, and I'm glad Hollywood Dave Hellman agrees with me, that DaRon Bland should be up for consideration in Defensive Player of the Year. He's on pace for 10 interceptions for the year. So, obviously, that would be an incredibly impressive number.
Last week against New York, when he didn't return that interception for a touchdown, I was disappointed.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, man, whatever. He caught it, I guess.
Now, you brought up an excellent point because now his 4 pick-6s are tied for the most in an NFL season ever. They have 7 games left to go. He's averaging 1 every 2.5 games.
Why are they passing on him so much?
They
don't believe it. They're just like,
I guess so.
Is he giving up bigger plays than I'm forgetting?
Pressure's pushing them to put the ball in the air. And I think it's a combination of the two things, and they put it up and don't realize that he's sitting there just waiting. Just watch the way he waits.
Now, you asked about other big plays against him. all of this data, and I know Corey's got some updated info.
Just one little nugget.
All of this data is going into Sunday's game. Check this out. He was tied for 10th in the league with pass breakups, so not even interceptions. Pro Football Focus had his coverage grade second in the league for all cornerbacks who'd played at least 50% of the snaps. His completion percentage allowed, 48.8%. That's fifth best in the league, and he has the lowest passer rating against him in the league when targeted. And this might be an important thing for the Cowboys, is he was in 52% of the snaps last year. This year, he's in on 84% of the snaps. So, obviously, part of that was
injury
needed because of Trayvon Diggs. But the point was, he has taken a huge step up in amount of time he plays and clearly gotten better.
Yeah, to update one of those,
yes,
Kevin,
please.
He's the only quarterback who's played at least 500 total snaps, but has allowed less than 48% of a reception rate when targeted. And he's the second leading touchdown scorer on your team. CeeDee Lamb has 5 touchdowns. Jake Ferguson has 4 touchdowns. He is tied with 4 touchdowns on the season. So that's kind of a nice thing.
And so does he fit in the Defensive Player of the Year category? Now, Mike, I know this led to a huge argument between us 2 years ago about what is in consideration.
Yeah.
NFL.com, at the time, they did their evaluation with all the GMs in the league. And T.J. Watt led the way, followed by Micah Parsons in second and Trayvon Diggs in third.
Way far off that Trayvon Diggs guy.
Way far off in third place. And so he didn't win it. Right. Obviously, neither did Micah. Do you think DaRon Bland is now in this conversation? And then my other question is, how tough is it if you have, 2 of the top 5 candidates are on the same team? That feels like it would be counterproductive, even though I know the Rangers just had 2 of the top 3 MVP vote getters.
Mm-hmm, but neither one of them won it.
True.
I think what's interesting here is how the conversation only starts with pass rushers. Like that
is odd.
Because it does seem you're like, we can prove the sacks. You're telling me that a pick 6 isn't more valuable than a sack?
It definitely is.
I think it would probably, in my mind, it's going to take about 5 sacks to match one pick 6. And this dude has 4 of them already this year. If he was to break the record, then that would be an even more significant thing. But then if he was to break the record and just add a couple more interceptions and keep that low reception rate down, then, Kevin, that's where I think people tried to tear down Diggs a couple of years ago saying, yeah, but he gives up big plays.
Which
you're like,
absurd.
okay, like one every blue moon here. But the most of the time, he's making some significant plays that keep defenses or offenses off the field. And that's where I think that's the biggest factor is all these guys, all these sack masters are going to get the top billing. But what DaRon Bland is doing right now, I think firmly places him there. And if people aren't giving him consideration for it, that's a problem.
Maybe you said it and I wasn't listening well.
Because you're opening cards.
Yeah.
He's at a card shop.
No, I know.
What's the record for most pick 6s in an NFL season?
4, which is where he's at.
So if he gets one more,
he has the record.
do think that puts him in a special category. Diggs, the reason I was arguing, what was Diggs doing that put him in a special no NFL player's ever done
Not
this category?
no NFL player ever. It's just been 40 years.
He needed, 7 more interceptions to be in
that record
area?
That record feels impossible.
So I feel like DaRon Bland is getting to the point now, if he has 2 more pick 6s and he has 6 pick 6s in a season. Now, the Cowboys do need to, I know it's different for Defensive Player of the Year rather than MVP or sometimes Offensive Player of the Year. I do think the Cowboys need to be considered one of the better teams in the NFL.
Agreed.
Because that sack number is just always the bigger number in Defensive Player of the Year stuff. And also, he's coming out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be tough, too.
For the rest of the country.
Oh.
Not for us.
Yeah.
But for the rest of the country.
But we never knew he was like this, right?
I did not. And neither did the Cowboys, because that's why they took him in the 5th round. They did not know he was going to be this good. Nobody did.
I want to say I did. But nobody's going to believe me.
I do not believe
I will say this and then add this on top of it. If he could only pitch, then he would be in a different category.
Free agency, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just think about if he could pitch where his MVP status would go.
Now, I think that he'd win.
Yeah, obviously.
I think you're going to love this, Mike, specifically, is
It doesn't help for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yes, it does not. You're
Like
right.
if he became a wide receiver and caught 50 balls for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns, I don't know. Would you
vote? Would you vote for
Do you
him?
think that would help in a weird way? Do you think that
For
would help
MVP, not for Defensive Player of the Year? No.
I'm with you. I'm just wondering if voters would be like, but he also plays offense.
But he also
too."
plays, yeah.
So
like Travis Hunter, the kid from
Yes.
Colorado.
Or Deion Sanders.
Yeah, they're doing really good. Is DaRon Bland. Somebody asked him about the record, and he goes, yeah, it gives me another thing to strive for. I want to be in the record books forever.
Yeah, we want him to be there too.
That's why people said I intentionally gave up a home run.
Does that still come up with you?
At times, but I'm like,
Does that hurt your feelings?
no, I just think it's silly that people think that I would have intentionally done that.
Yeah. Did you see him play that year?
Do you get
Yeah.
paid? You don't
Did
get
you see
paid
how
for
many
being
home
a-
runs I
I
gave
meant
up per
Barry
inning?
Bonds, not
Jeez,
you.
I know. You know my stats. Yeah, you're like, dude, you're giving up 2 home runs a game. It wasn't that difficult. Obviously, if people like little David Eckstein can hit home runs off of you, obviously Barry Bonds probably will
How many
too.
home runs did Eckstein hit off?
He
of
hit
you?
one when he was with the Thunder in Trenton. And I was like, he led off the game with a home run down the line. I'm like, this is going to be a bad day.
Did
Then
you
I got in
wonder how the
trouble.
hell he hit that home run?
Yes, I was furious. Then I got in trouble because later in the game, my catcher, Heath Hayes, who was probably 5 years older than me, goes, you want to douse a guy and just get out of here? And I was like, yeah, so I hit a guy. And then
Oh, my God.
Joel Skinner got mad at me because he was like, you're going to get one of our guys hurt by doing that. If you're having a bad game, deal with it. Don't just start pegging people. And I was like, all right.
True.
We go to Cowboys Twitter here. Maybe the most awesome thing, Cowboys came out of the game healthy again.
Mm-hmm.
This is quite a development. I think it could save Mike's job. If the season ends with disappointment, but you stay healthy, you kind of have to look at it and be like, man, I don't know if anybody's going to do it better than what Mike's at right now, especially if you make a playoff for a 3rd time in a row.
I would, man, the tape showed you a little bit. I don't think CeeDee Lamb's completely healthy. And I saw him in the injury report today with an ankle.
Okay.
And I was worried about this because I tracked all his passes yesterday because I was, you always kind of like, okay, what did they do to slow him down?
Yeah.
But there was a time where he caught the ball. He caught a ball on a shallow cross for 10 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And he took a hit. You could kind of see him. The linebacker comes up and he avoids the linebacker, so he's kind of off balance. And now he's trying to kind of lunge forward. It's the same play where Turpin gets dumped and like Turpin falls into his back basically. But he was on the injury report for ankle, and you could kind of tell. I think it affected him in this game.
Little tweaked.
I think he's dealing with something that might be.
Okay.
Again, I'm sure I'll probably get a text and somebody will tell me to shut the F up.
Well,
But-
the injury report, as you said, ankle.
right, but
It's on there.
but in the game, he looked like that he was struggling with something.
Not a good time to have a short week.
No.
That's for sure
No.
with CeeDee Lamb. Okay, we go to John Machota. Micah Parsons was not sick. Took some C4 energy powder. Apparently do we have the audio here, Lucius? I'm sorry, this one caught me off guard. I think Chief told me that we have audio of Micah Parsons talking about the energy powder before the game.
Yeah, so pregame, everybody was like, man, let's take a shot of this C4. And it was just the powder. And it's something I've never done before. And I took the scuba C4 to the head. He's like, man, just take it dry. Don't worry about it. So I was like, man, as soon as I put it on, I was like, man, this is strong. And I got some water to help put it down. I mean, by the 5th play, my heart felt like it was about to jump out my chest. And I was like, oh, my God. Like, it's still messing me up. I'm like, what's going on? It feels like CO2 just went bottled up in my chest. Like, I feel like I was about to explode. And eventually I just started throwing up. Like, it was all coming out. It's like, bro, I'm never doing that shit again. I'm going to stick to my routine. So
Where do you get from that?
I might go half a scoop.
What is it supposed to do for you, though?
It's just supposed to get you hyped, get your, like, everyone, like, everything going. Like, you're supposed to be just like, and I definitely felt the difference. I just didn't expect my heart to feel like that. Like, I've never been so tired in my life. Like,
Yeah, I don't like that feeling either. I wonder, do people take those energy drinks and not feel their heart pounding? Is this like an individual thing where some people just have a bad reaction, or do other people just kind of like that and go with it?
I've always, because when I used to have to do those feats of strength, the driving thing, I always got like one Red Bull, and that was like all I could do.
And you would shotgun it, right?
Well, I would just sip it, but it was, I was always worried about, again, the heart thing going off. But I wouldn't even know what these C4 and all that sound like to me. it can kind of mess you up kind of bad, huh?
Yeah, it can get you. It can definitely get you. There's a lot of caffeine in there, coursing through your veins at that point. So that's, but what else are you going to do? When you got Giants and Panthers back-to-back, you got to get up for these games somehow. That's right. What I mean, come on.
Well, if he wants to, I could just continually piss him off is what I can do.
Well, that's true. That's true. I heard Bobby calling it the Broadus game there for Micah, who caught wind of Broadus talking smack during the week, and he was like, okay, watch this.
Yeah.
Watch this.
Nice. Good job, Brian.
Anything I could do to help Micah Parsons play better, I'm all about.
I am surprised that amongst what's probably 50-plus ridiculous ingredients in that thing, not one of those is a banned substance from the NFL.
That's what I was wondering.
Right? I'm a little bit blown away.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like creatine, ephedrine, 400 milligrams of caffeine.
Yeah. But there's just not that much cocaine in there.
Just not enough to trigger it.
Yeah.
Other quotes from Micah. I kind of like when people go against me a little bit.
There we go.
That always gets me a little more motivated. 2.5 sacks is great, but I'm going for that broadest turkey leg on Thanksgiving.
That's exactly what you need to do, Micah.
He's going to come into the press box and rip that thing off.
I'll tell you what, man. I'll walk the turkey leg down there to him if he keeps playing like that. But no, hey, good for him. I mean, that's they did a really good job. When you watch the All-22, you will see they helped each other yesterday. That was some good. Good defensive line football with guys selling out and trying to, take guys on to get other guys home. It was all of them. It was fun. They knew that the guard and the center for the, Zavala and Bozeman were bad players inside. They took complete advantage of that.
It was epic across the board, but I think my favorite sack was when Tank
destroyed.
He was just supposed to be the blow up guy. He was just supposed to be the grenade.
Did. Yeah.
But he blows up the center or whatever Bozeman.
Yeah.
The guard takes the other guy, and then Tank's like, oh, okay, and then boom, there's my sack.
They had a couple of they had split some sacks too that were really cool. The Carolina tried to man the stunt with the twist, meaning they tried to run guys. The tackle tried to stay on the looper,
stick on them,
and you talk about a cluster. I just ran them all together, and now you got guys free running on the quarterback. But it was a really impressive game when it came to that.
How about a little DaRon Bland content? Another guy who was very impressive, and to my knowledge, Broadus is not annoyed yet.
Not yet.
Okay,
not yet.
Singing his praises in the opening segment.
Yeah.
Micah Parsons on Bland. He's having a defensive player of the year type year. He should be a lock for all pro. He's on a remarkable, unbelievable run. And then John Owning hits you with the stats off PFF. Highest graded corner. He is the only corner who's played at least 500 snaps, but has allowed less than 48% reception rate when targeted. This is insane. I don't know why we have not had more talk about this story. Maybe it takes breaking a record, but this might be the best corner on the Cowboys, even when Diggs is healthy, right? Next year, you're going to have like 2 number 1 corners, ball hawks, who could each get you 10 picks on the year.
If you talk about complete players at corner, yes, he's the best one you got.
Yeah.
He's the best one.
For sure.
When it comes to coverage, the ball skills, the tackling,
versatility,
the physicality, the versatility. Yeah, I mean, Diggs can walk into the slot, but he can't walk into the slot and play like Bland can.
Right.
And that's where I really was concerned. I know I was concerned not about him replacing Diggs on the outside. Who was going to play slot? Because there's times where I think that Bland is even a better slot player than he is outside.
Which is very impressive because he's been outstanding on the boundary. But Jordan Lewis is a problem. He's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, and to me, I would consider finding ways to maybe work Bland into the slot some, just to give teams a look at that.
Break up the tendencies kind of thing.
Break it up, yeah, because teams are probably thinking if we immediately put our best guy in the slot, that's going to be Jordan Lewis on the coverage right there. So now I'm making Jordan Lewis mad.
Yeah. There's some matchups where it would make tons of sense if the best wide receiver for any particular team is the guy that likes to play in the slot. Well, here's DaRon Bland for 4 quarters.
I would not let anybody feel like that they're going to get Lewis in the slot 100%.
Let me throw some names at you, just the best corners around football, and you tell me if you'd rather have this guy or DaRon Bland. Obviously, Sauce Gardner, Patrick Surtain, Jair Alexander, Darius Slay. Jalen Ramsey had a hell of a pick.
Yeah, Ramsey's come back from injury. He looked pretty good yesterday playing for the for the Rams. I mean, not for the Rams, for the Dolphins. Yeah.
Denzel Ward, are we there yet? These are top 10 corners. Reek Woolen, Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking Bland over all these guys except for, I mean, maybe what you've seen in a small sample in his return in Jalen Ramsey right now. But otherwise, I mean, Surtain, I don't know how you could put anybody above Bland right now for this season. He's playing the best football of anybody.
I don't know how you have Slay in there, to be honest with you. I know that he's listed as one of the top guys, but I think people attack him now. I think you're going to see that tonight.